So we come back to the main event rant. We come back here. Now, I must apologize for everyone for not producing the show last week. And the reason why I didn't want to do my show last week was because I had a little problem. A little problem with a friend of mine. You know, you begin to care about a lot of people in your life. And you try to tell them exactly what you want to hear. And it's always the same old crap. You know how you always are friends with certain women in your life? And they always choose to do the same thing that they've done over and over again, but are not smart enough to go away? I've been through that my entire life. And it's always the same routine. Okay, let me see if I got this right. You're going to go ahead and you're going to tell me that fuck him, it's over, I'm not going to be with him anymore. Or you know what? I'm not going to call his ass anymore. It's not like I give a shit about him. I got better things to do than to deal with that fucking asshole. You're not going to fuck him anymore, right? Guess what? You go ahead. You come to the main event. You choose to cry to me, and then you tell me that you had enough of this guy because you saw him with another woman. Really? Didn't you just tell me that you were done with this guy, that you didn't want to fuck him anymore, that you didn't want nothing to do with him, but yet you catch him with another woman and you want to cry about it? Here's the thing. Reality is a fucking bitch. Deal with it. And here's the thing. Women get more emotional. Whether anybody likes it or not, women get more emotional than men. Because they expect the man not to be with another woman. They expect the man to be at home waiting for that phone call. Most guys would wait for the phone call because for some odd reason, they love him. And others, they choose to back off and go for something else. And here's the thing. You can lie to all of us. Women and men have lied to each other for a long, long time about the same thing. And you know how it goes? They come out, they want to go ahead and tell you, hey, well, I'm done with this person. I'm not going to fuck with this person anymore. Nah, fuck that. You know, hey, he wants to call me, go right ahead. It doesn't matter. Before you know it, you end up in his fucking bed, or you end up in her fucking bed, and then she's making you breakfast in the fucking morning and pretend like everything never happened. And then before you know it, the next couple of days, it's back to the old hee-ho. Here's the thing. You're talking to a guy that's never been in a relationship in his life. I've had sex with other women. I admit that. But I would never step into a relationship unless it was true, pure, and understanding. If I got none of those things, then you're done. I don't want to deal with you. See, that's the kind of person I am. There's not that many guys out there like me that do these things. They choose to go ahead and tell me everything that I want to hear, but I tell them the same thing. You're full of fucking shit. So my advice to you is, before you decide to tell people that you're done with this person and that everything's over and then everything has been pretty much left behind in a fucking chapter, remember, there's always the sequel. If you choose to bring in the sequel, then the movie continues. But if you stop at part 1, then everything else doesn't mean a fucking thing. Because otherwise, if you continue to do a part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, all the way to the end, then it's an endless relationship that's going to blow up in your face with no happy ending. I prefer part 1 and then it's done. The story is over. I don't deal with this anymore. You want to go for the sequel? Go ahead. It may end at part 2, it may end at part 3, and so forth. But do me a favor, and do everyone else a favor, whether you're a guy or whether you're a girl. Don't bullshit us. Don't tell us what we want to hear. Just get it over with and go about your business, okay? And today, oh yeah, the 49ers went ahead and they took us. But we came back strong, didn't we? Don't ever underestimate the Dallas Cowboys for anything, despite the fact that they may have lost, and despite that everyone's going right ahead and talking about the old Romo jokes. Every single Romo joke that I've heard, hey, I'll pass over the football to the defense and all this other crap. Here's the thing. I have said this before. The 49ers are a great team. And personally, to me, the 49ers should have been the Super Bowl champions and not the Seattle Seahawks. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me upon that, but that's fine. Let them. The 49ers and the Cowboys win at it tonight. Great rival. One of the greatest football rivals in the history of the NFL. And I said it. I expected the 49ers to take us down. But if we took him down, that's an accomplishment for us. So to my good friends, Frank Alejandro, and to my cousin, Mingo, who's up in Arlington, Texas, enjoy the ride, boys. Enjoy the 49ers victory while you can. Because remember, at the end of the day, we came out better in the end. You know we did. Whether we won, whether we lost, we came out on top. And speaking of coming on top, the talk has been, what about the fact that I did the ridiculous ice bucket challenge and yet nobody accepted my ice bucket challenge? Nobody did. And I never expected it because I said it before and I say it again. This ALS Ice Bucket Challenge is the most ridiculous thing that has ever come out in the United States. Everyone is obviously bored with doing something other than work, than home, than doing other things than a ridiculous Ice Bucket Challenge. You know what an Ice Bucket Challenge is? Let me tell you what an Ice Bucket Challenge is. The Ice Bucket Challenge is where a person takes an ice bucket, put the ice in, pours it over the fucking head. I did it! I did it! But I've gotten no responses back from any of them. You know why? Because even they think it's stupid. That's why I didn't give them a 24-hour notice. I just told them to do it on their time, whenever they want to. If they don't do it, I'm not going to bitch about it. Because it's stupid, it's ridiculous, and nobody gives a fuck about going ahead, taking an ice bucket and putting it over your head. That is a fucking bath. That's what it is. And you want to know what else is ridiculous? The fact that now we're in September, right? And I made the announcement that I'm not going to do anything in September. And everybody wants to know why. Everybody wants to know why the main event chooses not to do any episodes of the main event talk in September. It's simple as this. You hear the words gimmick infringement. You hear the words imitations. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, here's the thing. You go on the internet, you go on YouTube, you see all of these wrestling shows. Yes, wrestling shows, wrestling news, all the things that you've already heard about. And here's the thing. They choose to go ahead and imitate another show that is named after the same show. You know what it is. But the difference between that show and this show is simple. That show is all about wrestling. But wait a minute, I don't understand this. Is it the other show about wrestling too? Ah, there's your difference. That's another wrestling news show. That's just going to inform you about a bunch of things that have already happened. About a few things that have happened in the WWE, and TNA, and Ring of Honor, and all sorts of other stuff like that. But this show, this other one on the other hand, it's not just about wrestling. It's not just about the news. It's also about life. It's also about things that go on around you. It is different from any other wrestling show out there. And even though both shows have the same name, the difference between the two shows is that that show right here is another wrestling news show, and the other one is about wrestling that is taken over by the man that's under the title of that show. So you can go ahead and you can print all your stuff out, because here's the thing. I've got a lot of viewers. They're watching this show. They're watching this show because it's not just a wrestling show. It's not just a wrestling show. Because while you choose to go ahead and be informative and give out all sorts of details about what the WWE is doing, what TNA is doing, and everything else like that, you're not giving it from a fan's point of view. You're not. I'm the one that is giving it from a fan's point of view, because there's a lot of fans that are just like me. A lot of people keep telling me the same thing about Damien Sandow, about how he's going to be the next big superstar. But yet I was the one that called out a couple of years back and say that this guy, Damien Sandow, is not going to amount to fucking shit, because he's still a lunatic, moronic jackass who refuses to change who he is and decides that he's just going to remain an intelligent genius because he is just that, an intelligent genius. He's a gimmick. He's a gimmick that's not going to go anywhere. And I bet that it was a mistake for him to win Money in the Bank and not Cody Rhodes. And then yet everyone goes ahead and starts saying, hey, he's going to be the next big star. And yeah, he's going to be the guy that's going to be bigger than Ric Flair. Damien Sandow bigger than Ric Flair. Please, look what he's become. A huge joke in the wrestling industry. Oh, we'll give it time, just give it time, man. He'll become big. He'll become huge, man. He will be bigger than Ric Flair. Yet he's become the Miz's bitch, hasn't he? And then everyone else wants to go ahead and tell me the same thing when I told them several months back or a year ago that he is not going to amount to a hill of beans, much less a hill of shit. And I've been right, haven't I? Everyone talked about Sheamus being a part of Evolution. That didn't happen either, did it? All I know is, the bottom line is, you can put your show out. You can title it the same as the other guy. But at the end of the day, everyone's going to look at that show. They'll see it for what it is, and they'll say, oh, that's just another wrestling show, man. That's just another wrestling news, man. We've already heard all this stuff from the stuff we hear on Twitter, the stuff we hear on fucking Facebook, and everything else like that. And then people want to tune in to this other show. It's like, wow. Man, this dude knows what I'm talking about, man. Wow. Man, I had no idea about that band. Who the fuck is Shattered Sun? Whose memories in a broken glass? What is Theo's Billiards? That's what it's all about. So here's the thing. In a few hours, it's going to come on. The main event rant will continue. Main event thoughts will continue. But the main event talk will not come back until October. When I come back, I'll come back stronger than ever. And the thing is, I'm not going to be some ridiculous wrestling news show. My show will be about the people, will be about the fans, and what they think about. Everything else doesn't mean anything. Because you can give out your predictions, you can give out your thoughts, but most of those predictions will come out wrong, and most of my predictions will sometimes be right. But at the end of the day, you'll know straight up that my show is superior to any other show out there. Why? Because I can and I want to. Any questions? Enough said. Good luck on the show. And remember, you are not bigger than me.